Hello everyone and welcome to L. Ender's Cataclysm, the mod that adds some of the most impressive and challenging boss fights of any Minecraft mod. This mod adds a plethora of fantastically strong bosses and crazy weapons as rewards for defeating them. With great models, smooth animation, and even custom boss music for all the fights, you'll definitely want to check the mod out for yourself in the description below, subscribe if you enjoy, and let's jump straight into it. Each of these bosses have a unique structure / arena you can fight them in, and you can craft certain eyes to help you find their structures easier. All bosses have a chance to drop their music disc when defeated, so you can listen to their boss music on repeat. Welcome to the Soul Forge. This dark, imposing structure can only be found in the Nether and is home to the Netherite Monstrosity, as well as a couple valuable pieces of ancient debris. This beast has 500 health, 10 armor points, and a whopping 21 base damage, plus 8% of its target's base health. It has a powerful ground slam attack that knocks you into the air. It can shoot you with exploding lava projectiles, although it can only do this 3 times in a row before recharging by sucking in more lava. However, you'll want to avoid this, as when it does, it regenerates health. After dropping below 33% health, it becomes enraged, attacking more frequently and catching on fire. When slain, it drops the Infernal Forge, a pickaxe that causes AoE damage when you right-click a block. If you craft a mechanical fusion anvil with drops from the Harbinger, a boss we'll get to later, you can upgrade the Infernal Forge with a Void Core to obtain a Void Forge, a pickaxe that summons void runes in a fan shape. It also drops a monstrous horn, which can be used to craft a monstrous helm, giving you some pretty good perks when worn. Next, we have the Ruined Citadel in the end. This is a maze-like structure filled with chokers, chests, both end and regular, and 3 ender golems. There are also trap blocks that attack you and slow you down. This square purple structure is infected with ender maptera, which are hostile, insect-like creatures that can climb walls like spiders and attack via melee. They have 3 points of armor and 8 hearts, making them tougher than the usual endermites you'll find. When slain, they drop void jaws, which can craft void scatter arrows. These arrows do an AoE splash damage when they hit the ground. Here, as I mentioned before, you can also find the Ender Golem. This obsidian creature is very similar to Minecraft Dungeon's Redstone Golem, and you can find 3 of them in the structure. They have 150 health, 12 armor, and 3 attacks that deal between 10 and 16 damage. They have a ground slam attack that causes a wave of void runes to come out of the ground, a quick punch with either arm, and a ground slam attack to launch you into the air. They drop void runes on death, which can be used to upgrade weapons or summon void runes in a direct line in front of you. While in the Ruined Citadel, you can also find the Ender Guardian, the final boss of the dungeon. This boss has 300 health, 20 armor, and 5 different attacks. It has a combo attack where it will place a gravity well beneath the player, trapping them in place before lunging at the player with its fist for massive melee damage. It can teleport behind the player and launch them in the air with an uppercut before dealing a devastating punch, stunning them briefly. It can spawn a wave of choker orbs that when hit will cause the player to levitate into the air. It will stomp the ground, causing void rooms to spawn in a line to the player and in a ring around itself. If you get the boss below half health, its helmet will break, halving its defense and revealing its true face. When this happens, it will smash the floor, revealing the second layer of the boss fight arena. This second phase will buff up its attack, increasing the number of void runes spawned during its void rune attack and giving it a new attack where it teleports up into the air above the player before crashing down, dealing huge damage and spawning loads of void runes in a radiating pattern around itself. It can slam the ground, sending waves of void runes as well as choker orbs towards the player. When you finally slay it, you'll receive the Gauntlet of Guard, which when holding right click will draw in nearby mobs towards you. You can upgrade it with the Bulwark of the Flame to receive the Gauntlet of Bulwark, which lets you hold right click to charge forwards and release it to damage entities in front of you. The next mob and structure was added in a very recent update. This is the Leviathan that can be found in the Sunken City. The Sunken City is a massive stone structure found in deep, lukewarm oceans. This is an unbelievably large dungeon filled with plants, ores, chests, water, and various deeplings. The first hostile mob you can find is the unassuming lionfish. They have 6 hearts and will bite at the player via melee. They can be encountered attached via leash to a deepling angler. They drop themselves on death and can be eaten, but can inflict poison and nausea when consumed. Next is the deepling, a bipedal monster with 15 hearts that has similarities to a water-based relative of an enderman. They can be found wielding coral spears and attack by throwing these spears at their target. The deepling anglers have 15 hearts and look very similar to the deeplings but hold fishing rods. They can poison you when they hit you with their melee attack, and as mentioned, they can be found carrying a lionfish. The deepling priest is similar in appearance to the deepling but with glowing runes, including an angler-like one above their heads, and they're shrouded with plant life. They have 23 health and attack with the athames they hold. They can also inflict blindness on their target. The last deepling variant is the deepling brute. They have 32.5 hearts, are purple in appearance, and wield the coral bardiche. They fling themselves through the air or water and throw their weapon at you for a strong damage. The last and deadliest new non-boss mob you can encounter in this structure is the Coralsis. These massive beasts have 110 hearts, can leap through the air, and then slam onto the ground with their fists. They are often found being ridden by deeplings, making this a formidable duel to fight. They drop crystallized coral fragments, which can be used to craft an abyssal sacrifice. I highly recommend you download this mod for yourself and just explore the structure, as it is many times larger than any normal vanilla structure, and there are plenty of secrets and loot for you to uncover. Now, in the center of the giant stone dome that defines the shape of the building, you can swim down to the bottom of the flooded arena and find the waiting altar of the abyss. If you craft an abyssal sacrifice and right-click the altar, the jaws will begin to close on it. However, you can right-click again to cancel the summoning if you're not prepared, and you definitely want to make sure you're prepared before summoning the Leviathan. When this ceremony completes, the Leviathan will spawn. This terrifying subnautical creature has huge jaws, 4 massive tentacles, and an extensible tongue that draws in your target. If you think this looks familiar, you might be seeing the resemblance to Mob A of the 2017 mob vote that its design was loosely based off of. This beast has many attacks. It can swing its tail around in a circle for a large area of effect attack. It can open its mouth, let out a cry, and charge through blocks, destroying any in its path. It can fire a massive beam from its mouth like a laser, destroying blocks from its path, and it can even grab you in 2 of its tentacles, holding you in place and then blasting you in the face with its laser beam. It can power up, give the player darkness, and cause beams of purple light to strike down from above, inflicting abyssal burn on contact, a potion effect that will deal damage over time while it lasts. It can tear open a dimensional rift in the world, drawing you in along with any nearby blocks and dealing damage to you. It can litter the battlefield with abyss mines that create massive explosions if disturbed. It can also use its 4 tentacles to pierce, stab, and barrage you, and they can even stun you with these tentacles. It will summon a barrage of homing projectiles to fly around the water and explode on contact. It will enter a charge up state if you get it low enough, regenerating back to half HP and attacking with more frequency. When you finally defeat this multi-dimensional apex predator, you'll be rewarded with 2 things: an abyssal egg, which hatches into a baby Leviathan, and the tidal claws. The baby Leviathan can be tamed by feeding it tropical fish. Once tamed, you can make it sit, follow, or wander. It will not grow up, but it will attack entities by firing a death laser and by charging at them and biting them with a melee attack. The other drop, the tidal claws, are a powerful weapon. They are good melee on their own, but if you right click, you can use it as a grappling hook to move around easy, and if you left click, it can shoot a tidal tentacle that crosses large distances, targets enemies, and attacks multiple enemies at once. Now we'll find ourselves in an overworld cave to journey to the ancient factory. Located deep underground, these stone and glass structures are filled with technological blocks including copper and redstone, and even some EMPs in the boss room. In said boss room, you'll find the imposing Harbinger sleeping dormant, a technologically enhanced wither with 390 health and 12 points of armor. When you first encounter the Harbinger, it will be powered off, but you can wake it by giving it a nether star. It has 2 attacking modes, laser mode and missile mode. When in laser mode, it will fire the laser rapidly to burn away at your health, and when in missile mode, it will act similarly to the wither, firing missiles at its target. It has a few different skills that it will randomly choose from approximately every 10 seconds. A charge attack where it dives at the player, destroying any blocks in its path. It can open its shoulder cannons to shoot homing missiles at the target, and it can power up and shoot a deadly death laser for huge damage to whatever it's targeting. As mentioned, there are several EMPs that can be found around the arena with a lever attached to them. If they're not receiving redstone power, they can be charged by getting hit by a death laser, and then you can trigger the EMP to deal a small amount of damage and stun the Harbinger, allowing you to get some hits off for free. When you get the boss below half health, they will become immune to damage and their skills will become enhanced. Upon defeating this boss, you'll receive a Wither Assault shoulder weapon, which you can right click to fire Wither missiles and shift right click to fire Wither howitzers. It can be upgraded with a Void core for a Void Assault shoulder weapon. We'll also drop a Witherite block, which will give you the Witherite needed to craft the Mechanical Fusion Anvil, something you definitely want to do to power up your weapons. Our last destination is in the Nether. It is the Burning Arena. In this giant hellish structure, you can find 2 ignited revenants. These creatures have 80 health and 12 armor points. They have a melee attack where it will rush the player with its shield spinning rapidly, an ashen breath attack that will inflict blindness when it lands, and a bone storm attack where it will scatter bones around itself. They will block attacks with their shields, but these can be pierced or broken with a critical hit from an axe. They drop burning ashes, which can be used in the altar of fire to summon the Ignis. This fiery behemoth has 450 health, 10 armor, and a plethora of attacks. And it is worth noting that it will attack you proportionally to your health, meaning even if you have a ton of hearts, it will chip away at them very rapidly. This boss fight is probably the closest thing to a Minecraft version of a Souls-like boss fight I've ever seen in a mod, so you might find using the Epic Fight mod really completes the experience. Let's get straight into what it does. It has a Blazing Brand debuff that it applies whenever it hits you with its sword that will lower your armor defenses. It will also regen health when it hits you with a sword. It can lunge at you, piercing you with your sword and lifting you into the air before dropping you back on the ground. It can slice with its sword in a diagonal pattern, setting its target on fire. It can sweep a sword across you horizontally multiple times, making it hard to dodge. It will slice at you with a sword and then bash into you with a shield, stunning you for a significant amount of time. It can slam its shield into the ground, creating a shockwave. If you get too far away, it will leap a great distance into the air, then slam back into the ground for a big AoE attack. It will stab its sword into the ground, creating a shockwave, then slam the hilt of its sword into the ground, pulling you in, then finishing off the combo with one more stab for a final shockwave. It can summon fiery projectiles with a wave of its hand that will explode on contact and shoot towards you. Once you get it below 3/4 HP, it will turn blue and enter its second phase, where it attacks more rapidly, making the attacks more difficult to dodge. It is worth noting that all of these attacks are avoidable by blocking or moving. Ender pearls make dodging them easier, and it is possible to defeat it without getting hit. Although I personally am not skilled enough to do this. Once you get him below 1/4 HP, his shield will explode, making it a lot easier to defeat as you can land more consistent hits on him. Also, when in this phase, it can create fiery sigils on the ground, dealing damage if you stand in them, and also exploding after a short while. Once you finally manage to defeat this monstrosity, it will drop Ignition ingots on death, which can be used to craft the Incinerator, a sword with a powerful special charge attack, in fact the same one it uses, or the Ignitium armor set. The Ignitium chestplate can be combined with an Elytra and a Mechanical Fusion Anvil for an Ignitium Elytra chestplate. The helmet grants you lava vision so you can see through lava, and the boots grant you lava walker, placing down molten netherrack wherever you walk over lava. and the leggings make it so that whatever hits you also gets set on fire in return. It also drops the Bulwark of the Flame, a shield that lets you charge forward if sneaking and knocks a target forward once you release. It will stun any entity that it knocks into a wall and does bonus damage. This can also be upgraded into the Gauntlet of Bulwark, which lets you hold right click to push nearby enemies and inflict Blazing Brand, then on release, charging forward and damaging entities in front of you. And that is currently all of the bosses added by this mod. Definitely check the mod out for yourself. Link will be down in the description below. Remember to leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe for more, and we'll see you all next time. Peace out, everybody.